before the Holocaust, for your knowledge, we used to be here 50,000 Jewish people. After the Holocaust, 1950 exactly came back. 800 from the camps, and the rest that they were hiding. So the question is, why so many losses and all this? This I will explain to you later as we visit the other synagogue. Before I tell you what it is here in this synagogue, I want to give you the orientation about Sephardic Jews. Sepharad in Hebrew means Spain. So, for Jewish people were living here even before 1492. This is the time when the Jewish people were expulsion of the Jewish people from Spain. They were living here even before, and they were called the so-called Romagnol Jewish people. Romagnols, it's come from citizens of the Roman Empire. Okay. And they did not speak Ladino or the Judeo-Espanol, Judeo-Spanish that we used to speak here. Like my parents, I speak as well. The new generation, unfortunately, no, because it's a lost language now. So let's see why so many Jewish people here or in Spain on all this story. You know what happened in 1492 in Spain? Is the Gerush Sepharad, the expulsion of the Jewish people from Spain. At that time in Spain, they were living about 4 million people, out of which about 300,000 were the Jewish people that they were living there. So the question is, why so many Jewish people gathered in Spain? I will explain to you. This year is very important. 3 important things happened in Spain. Number one, generally speaking, about the history, this crazy sailorman, Christopher Columbus from Genoa, that he found America. He had an idea. He wanted to find someone to finance his idea to go and find Spain from east side and start trading the very precious at that time spices, salt, pepper, and so on. And the Spaniards, Ferdinand and Isabella, accepted his idea. Why? Because they wanted, the Spaniards wanted to compete the Portuguese, which they were already doing this trade. Why? The Portuguese got their freedom from Spain, from the Arabs, 10 years before the Spaniards. They were very good sailormen. They sailed and they went all around Africa with the boats, and then they went east, and they found India from west side. It's not that India was not known at that time. It was known, but they wanted to find India from the safe way. At that time, the safe way was the seaway, and the fastest, because there were no streets, no roads, exposed to the bandidos, to the thieves, to the weather. You cannot load a lot of cargo in carriages. So the safe and fast way at that time was the seaway. Unless you have a storm or pirates, of course there were some dangers. So this is why they wanted to do it by seaway. And the Portuguese did it, and they were trading. The Spaniards didn't want to rely on them. They wanted to compete with them. This is why they accepted the idea of Columbus. They gave him the money and the boats. And you know, he arrived in Caribbean Sea. And until his death, he never realized that he found America, a new continent. This is why in the States we call the local people Indians, from India. This is what he was thinking. This is one important thing. The other important thing is that is the expulsion of the Jewish people from Spain. So why so many Jewish people in Spain? Let's see, we go back again to history. You know what happened in Jerusalem in 70 AD? The second destruction of the Temple of Solomon. The first one was from the Babylonians. So 70 AD, the second destruction. Who did it? The Romans, Tito. At that time, Jerusalem was part of the huge Roman Empire. And we were always revolting the Jewish people against the Romans. Why? Because the main difference with the Romans and the Jewish people was that the Romans believed that the emperor is God. This is something that we do not accept. For us, God is only one. And we were always making revolutions. So this is why Vespasianos, the father of Tito, he sends his son Tito with the legions to destroy, to finish with that issue with the Jewish people, that they make the revolutions. He arrived there. What he did at first, he destroyed our base. No more base for the Jewish people. The Temple of Solomon was destroyed. Everything was looted. Whatever was inside was taken and was sent to Rome. What the Romans did with these valuable things and with this money, gold and whatever, the father of Tito, Vespasianos, the emperor, was a normal soldier that he became an emperor after Nero. Sorry, I will close it down. So, he became an emperor after Nero, the crazy one who burned Rome. And he wanted to show to the people that he's common like them, and this is why he builds in Rome, still existing until today, a theater and arena, Colosseum. With what money? With what valuable things? Whatever was taken, stolen from the Temple of Solomon. So, by order then of the Romans, no more Jewish people in Jerusalem. Because you stay there, you make revolutions. Out. All the Jewish people taken as slaves, and they went around Europe, no problem. Europe is the Roman Empire, no problem if we are in groups scattered around, okay? Or in North Africa, but no more in Jerusalem. So, from that time with the Jewish people, we didn't have our own land to step on. Until when? 1948, Medina Israel, the state of Israel. So, in a way, what was our land that we were stepping on and kept us united throughout these centuries? Torah, the religion, Torah. So, no more Jewish people, they went all around Africa, North Africa, and in Europe. Now, in Spain, you know that they were the Arabs for 800 years. Conquered from the Arabs until 1492. Continue this story to tell you about the Jewish people. 6 centuries after Jesus was born the prophet of the Muslims, Muhammad. He never said that he is God or the Son of God. He is a prophet. What a prophet is doing, he conveys the word of God to the people, like Moses. He was born in Mecca, holy city for the Jewish people, for the Muslims, for the Arabs. But you know, you say it also in Hebrew, you can never become a prophet in your own city. How you say it in Hebrew? Because they know you. They don't believe you. They know you. So, people is against him. They don't believe him, chase him. He moved and he went to Medina, another holy city of the Muslims. There, he found the solution. He is married with a rich woman. He became the governor of Medina, and he became the prophet. Why I tell you all this? Because it's written in the Sharia. Sharia for the Muslims is like the halacha that we have. What a good Jew or a Muslim has to do every day. So Muhammad said, it is written in the Sharia that we have to respect the religions that are based in Torah. This is why we, the Jewish people, we had very good relations and no problems where the Muslims were. Until 1900, 1948, when Medina Israel was established, Palestinians, Al-Aqsa, and all these that you know, and you live with that. So this is generally, these were the Muslims and the good relations we had with them. Where the Christians are, we have problems. Where the Muslims are, no problems. And I will give you the proof on the way as the story is going on. So Muhammad had an idea. He went to the hills of Jerusalem to pray where the sacrifice of Isaac, the son of Abraham, would have taken place, and never took place. And there, they say that it's written that he found a cloud or a horse with wings. He jumped on that, he elevated himself, and he talked with God. The bad thing for us, for the Jewish people, is that Muhammad did a round trip, not like Jesus that are still waiting for him to come. Muhammad is coming back, round trip. And on top of these hills, he said what God told him. And later on, the Muslims, what they built on top of the hills, their mosques and Al-Aqsa. The problems always with Israel, if you touch, if you go there, and so on. So this is about the Muslims and the good relations. So, as I said before, 800 years, the Arabs were in Spain, and not Arabs like today. Mathematics, engineers, scientists, doctors, architecture, they left a lot of monuments in Spain until 1492, when they're sent back from Ferdinand and Isabella. So Spain is becoming a Christian Catholic country only. Christians, problems for us. And then by order of Ferdinand and Isabella, actually Isabella, because Isabella was wearing the pants, okay, she was ordering everything. No more other religions here in Spain. We suffered a lot. No more Muslims, no more Jewish people. If you want to stay, you have to convert. If not, you have to leave the place. So from these 300,000 Jewish people that they were living there, about 200,000 stayed, and they converted. They became los Maranos, los Conversos, Anosim. Maranos means pigs, the pigs, okay? And they suffered a lot. If they find them doing our services hidden in crypto synagogues and so on, fire, inquisition. And about 100,000 Jewish people left. At that time, in 1500, some of them went to Portugal. And 10 years later, they were even expelled from there. Christian Catholics. At that time, here in Greece and in the Balkan countries and in North Africa was, when I say Balkan countries, it's Yugoslavia, Romania, Turkey, Albania, Bulgaria, Greece, was the huge Ottoman Empire, that they are Muslims. And at that time, the Sultan, who was clever enough, he said that how stupid are Ferdinand and Isabella. They are making poor their country, and they are going to enrich my empire. And the Sultan of that time, he invites the Jewish people that they live from Spain to come here. So why he invited Jewish people to come here? The Sultan was the ruler, clever, whose decision was always the final. I give you an example. Ottoman Empire here, Thessaloniki, and in the island of Rhodos, they are not doing well. So the Sultan decides, 1,000 people, you and you and you and you. You move from Thessaloniki, you go to Rhodos to restart the city. So this is what he wanted to do with Thessaloniki, because the city was in decline, in decadence. Only 2,000 people were living here. The port didn't work, the market, everything was in decline. and he wanted to restart the city on a fast track base. Meaning what? He didn't want to bring people from his empire without knowledge to restart the city. He wanted to do fast. And he knew that the Jewish people that they're going out from Spain were people with knowledge. Doctors, engineers, technicians, trading, textile, printing. Why we were so good in all these professions? Any idea?
Print Torah books.
Education.
We weren't allowed to do many other things. The governments wouldn't allow Jewish people to do other things, so Jewish people got involved in these trades because they were the only trades they were permitted to do.
I actually thought that maybe we didn't have the option to get those kind of services from Christians, so we have to teach ourselves and provide it to the community. But
Yes.
that's a yes.
And another important thing, all this what you say is correct, and at that time we didn't have the right to own land, farm. So when you don't have this right, what you do? You move to the cities. What kind of professions you exercise? Professions that you can do in the cities. This is why we were so good in that, and this is why the Sultan invited the Jewish people from Spain that they live to come here. He even sends boats to take Jewish people and bring them to his empire, and he said, Jewish people, come here and come especially to Thessaloniki. I give you full independence. You can exercise your religion. You can have schools, institutions, hospitals at that time. Whatever, no problem. The only thing that the Ottomans care is that you have to pay the haraj. Haraj is the tax. Haraj. If you pay the tax, your head stands between your shoulders. If you don't pay, you have to look for your head somewhere around. And this is what happened, and about 20,000 Jewish people out of these 100,000 that they left from Spain are coming here in a city of 2,000. So the majority in terms of religion in this city is Jewish, without any problem. And we have a big flourishing Jewish community here throughout the years. You know that the Ottomans were here in Thessaloniki until 1912. Athens became part of Greece in 1830. The Ottoman Empire was falling, and in 1912, the Greeks liberated the city, the Ottomans went back, and the problems for the Jewish community started. Because I remember from my grandfather, the Greeks didn't want to give us all the privileges that we had throughout these 400 years with the Ottomans, that they were here. So now, we move now in mid-1700, 1750, 1755. And we move and we go to Italy. All what I tell you is related with the Jewish people here. I'm not going out of this story. Italy at that time was not united, it was separated in ducates, ducati. Even Germany at that time was not united. It was separated in hundreds of kingdoms until 1871, when Bismarck managed to unite them. You know how? The idea was, I want to be strong, so let's have a union. But we have many differences among us, or these kingdoms. What we have in common, one enemy. Who is our enemy? France. So they did a war against France, they were united, right until Paris. The French couldn't believe that so strong army came there. So this is what Bismarck did. They became very strong. They made 2 world wars that they both lost them. Otherwise, Germany today would be a very large country. Parts of Germany were at that time, Poland East Poland, Alsace in France, Strasbourg in France, it's a German city. Anyway, we go now back to Italy, divided in ducates, ducati. In mid-Italy was the Ducate of Tuscany, still existing. And there was the city of Modigliani. Have you heard about the Jewish painter Modigliani? Very famous, his parents from there, Jewish people. Is the city of today, if you open the map, of Modena or Modena. It means in the middle, Modena. Like Modin. Modin is in the middle of Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. Probably is the name from there. Modin in the middle. Modena, very famous for two things. Balsamic vinegar and Ferrari, the cars. So, in Modigliani there were living Jewish people, always with problems with the Christians. The Duke, as usual, he had kesef in his pocket. Kesef means in Hebrew, money. And you know that if money stands still in your pocket, it will not generate more. So what he wanted to do, he wanted to lend money to the people and get the interest. But according to the Christian religious law, you are not allowed to do it to anyone and get the interest. But according to our religious law, I cannot do it to you, but I can do it to our beloved guide here, Evgenia, that she's Christian, okay? And I can get the interest. So this was perfect for the Duke, and he gave the privilege to the Jewish people in Modigliani to lend money to the people. The commission was going to the Jewish people, and the interest to the Duke. When you have this privilege, what you do? You go in the square, Italian language, piazza, you have a table, a chair, you sit, and you start lending money to the people. You know how we call in Italian language the table? We call it tavola or banco. Banco, bank. Even in Greek, we say the bank, trapeza, and the table, trapeza. Everything is doing. And when something is illegal, what we say? Money under the table. And when someone doesn't have any more money, what we say? Bankrupt. Italian language, banco, rotto, broken. In Hebrew also you say something with the leg of the table broken. Shulchan aleged. See, all is doing with this table, the chair. So, Jewish people, some of them became very rich because they were getting the commission. But don't forget, they are among Christians. The Pope in Rome heard about that, and he said to the Duke, I don't want you in your ducate to have Jewish people that they have good times. Either kill them or send them away.
What year was that?
In mid-1700, up to 1800. So, the Duke said to the people, move, because the Pope is coming. They left and they went to the city and port of Livorno, still existing until today. Me too. Livorno, I mean Jewish
You're
Italian.
going to be cousins
Yeah.
after this meeting.
I will explain to you why. That's why I tell you these stories related to the Jewish people. There they form groups, and the people is asking, who are they? Where are they coming from? They come from Modigliani. Modigliani, Jewish, very famous family name here, Modiano. You know about the market Modiano that we are going to visit, the covered food
Of course you
market?
speak.
Agora Modiano, okay? Next
When I was little, I used to go there to shop.
That's right.
You know,
So, there they have problems. Pogroms, and they heard that from the other side of Italy is the Adriatic Sea, then is in Greece, Ionian Sea, the island of Corfu, and then the big flourishing Jewish community in Thessaloniki with the Ottomans, with the Muslims, that they don't have problems. And this is why about 3,000 to 4,000 of them decided to leave the place, Livorno, and come here in Thessaloniki. I forgot to tell you that I'm Jewish and I'm Italian. All my official documents are still, until today, in Livorno, from that time, from my great-grandfather, and so on. They're right here, some of them are very rich. In 1900, still the Ottomans here, 50% of the population of this city is Jewish, almost controlling everything, in market, in the port. And they are right here and they help a lot for the growth of the community. I'm about to finish this long history, but you know now all your why so many Jewish people in Spain, why here. In 1912, the Greeks liberate the city. If you ask the Ottomans, the Turks, they conquered the city. They were here for 400 years. Anyway, and some problems started, not big of course, with the Jewish community here. 1917, big fire in the center. The Jewish people who were living in the center, more than 50% remained homeless. And then in 1920, there is a war between Turkey and Greece. The Greeks went to the coast of Asia Minor. They liberate Izmir. Izmir. They're happy, they're winning. And they want to go and finish with the Turks. They want to move and go to their capital, Ankara. Before Ankara, there is a desert, they're trapped there. Big powers stopped giving them provisions. They didn't want to have imbalance. They say stop, the Greeks. The Greeks didn't stop. They lost the war and they are coming back. And then in 1923, we have a huge exchange of population, not according to nationality, but according to religion. It means about 1 million Greeks that they are Christian Orthodox left Turkey and they are coming here in Greece, and 500,000 Turks that they were living here left and they went to Turkey. And this is the first time in the world that this exchange of population was organized by the League of the Nations. Why? Because if it was not organized, there would be massacres, killings.
But there were a lot of Greeks get killed. The Muslims all left.
Even, of course, the Muslims all left. The Turks
my
were
grandparents, they got killed there.
well, yes, a lot of them. So from this 1 million people, thousands of them are coming here. So we are now in 1923, when actually Thessaloniki finds its Greek identity. Because as these poor immigrants are coming here, we become 25%, not 50. We lose power, let's say, and this is when the government passed a law to the parliament. You know what is parliament? From parla, blah, 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 and nothing is happening. Parla, parla, parliament, parla. And look, by law, on Shabbat, market and port are open. It's mandatory. If you are Jew, you have to go to your shop to open it or to go to the port and work. Until then, on Shabbat, the market was paralyzed, even the port, because the Jewish people didn't go. And now it's mandatory, they have to go. And I finish. We are now in 1940, just before the Holocaust, in a city of 250,000 Jewish people, Greek people, Greeks and Jews all together, 50,000, the 20% of the population of the city was Jewish. 50,000 Jewish city,
But the rest,
people.
the rest wasn't Greek. It was Bulgarians.
Yes, but
different nations.
but mainly majority was the Greeks then.
Yeah.
What is the Jewish community today? What we do here? So we are now 800 people only, the Jewish people, in a city of 1,100,000 people. So we are a very small part of this city, very well known and very strong and famous Jewish community. At the time of the Holocaust, and where no more Jewish people are here, September 1943, the Germans destroyed all our 43 synagogues, except of one that we are going to visit later on the way, which is original, built in 1927. I will tell you there why the Germans didn't destroy it. Big problem for the community. This is most probably the reason why your parents, your relatives left in 1918,
After the
1
fire.
year after the fire. There is also a wave of migration going to Israel, to Palestine, in 1923, 1934, because there is a pogrom here, the only time that we had a pogrom. And why we had this pogrom? Because also our fault, I would say, because here is the region of Macedonia. There was a Maccabi reunion in Bulgaria, and people from Maccabi of Thessaloniki, they went there, and they said there that Macedonia is part of Bulgaria. And the Greeks got crazy, and they burned one neighborhood, Jews, Camden. No death people, no casualties. And after that, these people that were living there, they were so much scared that they left and they went to Palestine. And they built the port of Haifa in Jaffa as well. So these people were the lucky ones because they escaped Holocaust. Because of this pogrom in 1934.
So why did Jews go to Egypt?
So how?
No, why? If they already crossed the sea, why not to Palestine?
My family, because my uncle,
There
my
was an
great
uncle.
great uncle was
Lived
there.
them already.
Yes.
He lived in
And
Alexandria.
he-
Alexandria was like a very French cosmopolitan. My family was
Cosmopolitan.
merchant.
And there are
President
Muslims.
Herzog
The most
family, mothers
important
from there.
position, strategically speaking, of the whole planet is Alexandria of Egypt today. And it used to be after Troy has been lost. It was between the Eastern world and the Western.
They occupied Thessaloniki on April 1941. End of August 1943, no more Jewish people. All the Jewish people were deported. And the Germans destroyed all our 43 synagogues, except of this one. Why? Because when they are in, they found that it was occupied from Magen David Adom,
Red Cross.
from the Red Cross. It was used as a warehouse. Even horses were inside, stables. Everything was taken, the walls only existed, and this is why the Germans, when they came in, they found that it was occupied from the Red Cross, and they need the provisions of Red Cross, pills, pharmaceuticals, and things like that. So they didn't destroy. This is why we have this original synagogue built before the war. Let's see now why we had so many losses in the Holocaust. I will give you my personal perspective, I will tell you stories, I will give you facts, and it will be your own decision why the Germans did it so well here. So, 96% losses. 1934. By chance, we don't have a chief rabbi here in Thessaloniki. 43 synagogues, they fight, the rabbis. You are not good, I'm capable, you are not going to become the chief rabbi. And the community, they wanted the modernization, to change the face, to be a modern community, having good relations with modern West Europe. So this is why the community, the board of trustees, the council decided to import a chief rabbi from West Europe, from Northern Europe, in order to have good relations with the Jewish communities there, and not to be only Oriental style Sephardic like this. And they want to have the modernization. And chief rabbi is coming here, Tzvi Koretz, who was born in Poland and educated were in rabbinical schools in Vienna. So he's coming here, and he became in 1934 our chief rabbi. And this is the catastrophe
Of the
our
community.
This traitor, Tzvi Koretz, the rabbi, he's very knowledgeable. He speaks 6 or 7 languages,
But-
but he doesn't speak Ladino or Greek. So he's good for international relations, but he's not good for the local people because he cannot communicate. Another thing that you told me, again, what they wanted to show that they are modern and no more anymore Oriental style Sephardic, they changed the arrangement of this synagogue. This is what you see. This is typical Ashkenaz, not Sepharad. The rabbi is not in the
נכון,
middle.
נכון, נכון,
The
נכון.
people is behind
Yes.
at the back of the rabbi, and the Arona Kodesh is at the front. So this is typical Ashkenaz, again, because of this modernization, to show to Europe that you see, we don't have only Oriental style synagogues, we have also Ashkenaz style synagogues. 1941, the Germans are coming here and they occupy Thessaloniki. In Greece, we had triple occupation. In northeast Greece, near the Turkish border, were the Bulgarians. The Bulgarians occupied this part of Greece because they were allied with the Germans, and the Germans gave them as a present this part of Greece.
Bulgaria here, all this part, Thrace, the northern, eastern part of Greece is under the Bulgarians.
And the Bulgarians are very happy about this gift, the present that was given to them, because Bulgaria, they have only port in Black Sea, and now they have a port of Alexandroupolis, which is in Mediterranean Sea. They don't have it anymore. So at that time they were very happy about this present. North Greece, occupation from the Germans,
Up to Athens.
and South Greece, Athens, islands, it's occupation from the Italians,
Italians,
who
yes.
were allied with the Germans. The Italians were fighting with the Germans until September 1943, when they are out of the war and became enemies of the Germans. If you are Jew and you live in Athens, no problem. The Italians didn't deport the Italians, first off, thank you. The Italians didn't deport the Jewish people. So, 1941, the Germans are coming here, they occupy Thessaloniki. They are very happy because they know that our chief rabbi is German. He speaks the German language, he knows the culture of the Germans, and he assists 100% the Germans to convince the people to follow the orders of the Germans in order to deport them slowly and gradually. Meaning what? It's not easy from one day to the other to deport 50,000 people. So you have to make the propaganda. For unknown reasons, in 1942, the Germans got our rabbi and sent him to prison in Austria, in Vienna. He stayed there for 6 months. What the Germans did to him there, we don't know officially, but it's for sure that the Germans brainwashed him in order to assist for the deportation of these 50,000 Jewish people that they live here.
But this was the system in all the communities around Europe. They used to lie. They used to take the leaders, tell the leaders, if you don't cooperate, we kill your family right now. So you better cooperate because we are just transforming you to another community. That's all. So the leaders, their hands were like this. If they don't communicate, if they don't cooperate, they kill the family. If they cooperate, then they betray the people. And that was the cruel system of the Nazis, keeping everything as a secret. Nobody went like sheep to the slaughter. Nobody knew the final solution.
There is, correct what you said, but there is a difference between a rabbi who is a hero and the rabbi that he is not a hero. Because a rabbi, if it's a rabbi hero, like the rabbi in Athens, he gives signs. He doesn't say, yes, good, and I will tell you all this now. It's on the way of this story. Anyway, the chief rabbi is coming back, he's brainwashed, and I'm pretty sure that the Germans didn't tell him all the truth. That you come back and you will be the guilty, the responsible for 50,000 losses. Because if you know that, either you suicide or you take your family and you run away. Anyway, he's coming back and he assisted 100% the Germans without giving a small sign about what was going probably in Auschwitz, that it was not good. And what he's doing, the German, he gave to the Germans within 48 hours all the addresses and the names of the Jewish people that they were living here, by pressing all the youngs of the community to go in the community day and night to write down names of the Jewish people and the families that they are here. He said to the people, go to the Germans, propaganda, and change, convert your money, drachma, to zloty, which is the Polish money. Because when we go there, we need this money. And they gave them fake money. The community bought the train tickets. And some people were very happy, like your family, my family, they were saying, good, we have near, close by seat numbers, we will be sitting together. They put them like animals, worse than animals, in the wagons, 80 people in a wagon meant for 4 horses. Anyway, and then on February, important what I'm going to tell you, 1943, all the Jewish people have to move to the ghettos. What is a ghetto here in Thessaloniki? It's not the same like a ghetto in Poland or in Hungary. Here, they were living, the Jewish people, in the ghettos together with the Christians. The Christians, the Greeks were going out and coming in. But the Jewish people, no. They were wearing the yellow star, they have to stay there from February 1943. And the rabbi is coming here and he's preaching to the people. My father-in-law, the father of my wife, Heinz Cunyo, who is 96 years old, he went to Auschwitz and came back. He's the last man survivor coming back from the camps here in
It's
Thessaloniki.
unbelievable. What he
They
went
are
at
women.
the age of 96 to Auschwitz?
96 now.
Now.
Today is 90.
Yes.
They-
Okay.
He was 16.
Okay.
So he's the last man survivor coming back from the camps. There are women, but he's the last man, important member of our community. You will see it later. So my father-in-law with his father were here present. And the rabbi, Tzvi Koretz, is preaching, is speaking to the people. And he said, sorry, I forget to tell you about what's in the ghetto. So the Jewish people, by order of the Germans, they have to move in the ghettos. That is not with high walls and German soldiers to guard. It was not difficult at night to run away from the ghetto. So if you are Jew and you have a house outside of the ghetto, you leave your house and you move to the ghetto. Immediately then, Greeks, Gypsies, they go in your house, they take everything. If you are Jew and you live in the ghetto, it's mandatory, you are obliged to receive Jewish families in your house. It means one family in one room, another family, another room. So life in the ghetto is not good. It means you don't have money, work, food. They give only food in the square for all the people. So the conditions in the ghetto are not good. And the rabbi is preaching here, speaking to the people. And he said, at the beginning what he said, it was correct. Now is new Europe. The Germans are controlling Europe. And the Germans decide for the Jewish people of Thessaloniki not to live anymore here, and we move all together peacefully and calm to go where? In the Jewish community in Poland, in Cracovia. 1943 did not exist a Jewish community in Poland, but they don't know, they don't have news, and they believe. The chief rabbi, who became also president of the Judenrat, president of the council as well, he has full power. And this is what the rabbi said to the people, and we move there, and the Germans will give us house, food, money, work. It means propaganda. What you miss here, they will give it to you there. And the people believe. And they were saying also in Spanish, if you understand a little bit, no es para morir, it's not for death. Life is not good here, cannot be worse there, so let's go. And they believe that they're going there for a better life. 2-3 months later, people is coming here and they ask the rabbi to come back again, and they start asking him questions. Rabbi, it's about 2-3 months. 25,000 people are already there. And we don't have any news. Is it good to go there or not? And what the rabbi said, now it's wartime. We cannot have exchange of letters. But I have a letter of one of my cousins, and he presented here a fake letter saying that hermanos y hermanas, brothers and sisters, here we are having very good life. The Germans kept their promise and they gave us all what we were missing in Greece. So come, we are waiting for you with open arms. And the people continue going and going, believing the rabbi.
It's correct.
Tzvi
Correct. My
Kurz.
father, Kurz. My father talking about in his book that he sold them.
That's right. He is a traitor of our community. Until today, when my father-in-law, he hears the name of Tzvi Koretz,
Yes.
he's getting red
Yeah.
and not like this. Okay. Another thing that I want to tell you, have you heard about the Black Sabbath of our community?
Yeah.
It
No.
was a very hot day of July, like
Yes,
today,
yeah.
in 1942.
When
Big
we
announcement
collected
in the
it.
community, all male members from the age of 18 to the age of 45, they have to be present in Liberty Square in order to be listed, registered, and later on they were sending the strongest of them outside of the city in order to work as slaves to open rail tracks and tunnels for the Germans. This is the Black Sabbath because some people were well dressed, being that thinking that we are be listed and we go to the synagogue. They stood there without head, under the sun, doing gymnastics like this to humiliate them. The Germans beat them, and this is the Black Sabbath of our community. Now, this about what the rabbi did. Now, I want to give you a personal story of the grandfather of my wife from her mother's side, not from her father's, because her father went to Auschwitz, as I told you before. So her mother, my mother-in-law, Rachel Cohen, she was born in 1932. She is now 91 years old, and I'm happy that I have a mother-in-law that she cooks very well. Okay? So, the family of Solomon Cohen. Solomon, his wife Regina, and the daughter Rachel Shelley Cohen. In 1942, for unknown reasons, the Germans caught Solomon and Regina and put them in jail. Solomon Cohen was a businessman. He had a small factory that he was producing notebooks, raw material, the paper, machinery, and the ready products. They are in jail, they don't know why, but they are in jail. 1 month later, they liberate Regina, and Regina went to Gestapo, to the headquarters of Gestapo. And she asked the Germans, why we were in prison, why my husband is still in prison. We didn't do anything. And the Germans said to Regina, look, we give you these documents, take them, go to jail, and there Solomon will sign that he gives to us voluntarily the factory. You know that they wanted to do it officially to show to the Germans that, you see, the Jew gave to us the factory.
Who did it?
Gestapo, the Germans.
Okay.
Take the documents, sign Solomon, and we take the factory. Regina went to jail, Solomon signed, and then Regina with the cousin, they went together, the cousin was speaking German, to Gestapo, and Regina said, here are the documents that you want. The officer is looking at Regina like that. We want it. You want it. The cousin understood, she's doing Regina like this, and Regina says, sorry, we voluntarily want to give you the factory. Took the documents, factory kaput, and Solomon is released. Solomon, I would say, he was lucky that he was present in the Liberty Square. Why I say lucky? Where he suffered a lot. The Germans beat him, doing this gymnastic. And when Solomon is coming back, my mother-in-law, she recalls, everything here at his back was black from the beatings he received. He couldn't sit for 1 week. He was only lying on his bed, on his belly. And after that, this clever man, Solomon Cohen,
Bless him.
said, bless him, Gabriel, he said to the extensive family, 23 members, no way, I am not going to Poland. I don't believe them. If the Germans treat me like that in my own country, in my own city, they took my factory, they beat me, I don't believe that we go for a better life in Poland. It will be worse. You couldn't imagine that it's for death. All the family against Solomon. Solomon, come on, you are young, we need you. His father was an ex-rabbi. If he wants to hide, he has to cut the beard. No way. And they insisted. Solomon said, no way, I'm not coming. I want to hide with my family. When we say hide, you know, is to go to Italy, to go to Athens. If you are in Athens, you are safe. Big confusion in the family. And look what they did. They took one member of the family and sent him to a Greek gypsy lady, coffee future teller. You know how we do it with coffee?
And let it dry.
Turn it upside down.
Right.
When it dries, they see the markings and they tell you the
And what
future.
did she say?
So what the lady said to this guy, I see a big trip that you have to avoid, not to do it, because they will kill you.
Wow.
The guy went back to the extensive family and he said, what the lady, gypsy lady said, how they interpret it. They said to Solomon, you see Solomon, you take the train to go and hide in Athens, they find you and they kill you. No es para morir, it's not for death for us. They are going to kill 50,000 people. So you see what the lady said? We are not coming with you to hide. We go safe all together in Poland. So this was their decision. All this extensive family, except Solomon, they boarded the trains, they went to Auschwitz. Who is coming back? No one.
Solomon.
Only Solomon. I will tell you the story about Solomon. He was a brave man, really. All of them perished, didn't come back. Solomon, he was really a brave man. Look what he did. You have children, I have children as well. He did something that I'm sure you wouldn't do it. He said, let's save the kid. And what he's doing, he went to the train station. He found someone who was working there, bribed him, gave him money, and he said, take my daughter, 11 years old, and go with her to Athens. She's young, she doesn't need documents. There is an uncle waiting there. And Shelley, wartime, she traveled alone 3 days and nights, 2 days, 4 hours to go to Athens by train, with a man that she didn't know, with a guy, and she traveled alone, let's save the kid, and she arrived in Athens where the uncle was waiting. 10 days later, Solomon and his wife, with the fake documents, they boarded the train in order to go to Athens. In mid-Greece, where is near Meteora, was the border between Germany, Italy. Means where the Germans are here and the Italians in Athens. And there was strict border control, run by the German soldiers and Greek policemen. During the control, if a German hears a Jew speaking Greek, he will say he's Greek. But if a Greek policeman hears a Jew speaking Greek, he will say he's Jewish. Why? Because the accent of Latino is singing is different than the accent of Greek. What they do during the control? Solomon, fluent in Greek, businessman, no problem. But Regina, if she opens her mouth, catastrophe. What she is doing, pretending during the control? That she is mute, that she cannot talk, and this is how they manage to go to Athens. When the Germans are going in Athens, September 43, the Italians are out, the family of Solomon Cohen, they are hiding, not Anna Frank style. They changed 16 different addresses in order not to realize in the neighborhoods that they are Jewish. End of the war here is 1944, October. The Germans are going back to protect their country. The Russians are going to Berlin. So Greece is free. And Solomon, Regina, and the daughter, Rachel, they're coming back, waiting for relatives to come. No one is coming. And then they heard that someone from the so-called camps is back here in Thessaloniki. So mother and daughter, they went together to give names and to ask, where is Rebecca, where is Sarah, where is Isaac, where is David? And the guy told them what happened in Auschwitz. When they were out, my mother-in-law, she recalls, the mother said to her daughter, don't believe. He's insane, loco. He lost his mind. This cannot be true. Anyway, later, more and more people are coming back from the camps, like my father-in-law. 800 people that were coming back from the camps, and they realized that this was the truth. This was the reality, and that no one from this family would come back. I want to tell you what happened with Svikorets, this traitor. In 1943, end of August, with the last train, the employees of the community that helped the Germans, together with Svikorets and his family, they moved and they went to Bergen-Belsen, not to a death camp, to a family camp, and not to Auschwitz, where they survived there. They were not killing people there. End of the war, the rabbi was intending to come back here. He couldn't even imagine what he did. And good for him, 10 days after, he was sick from typhus and he died. If you want to record, please do it free, because I want to sing for you a Ladino song that was written here. And the name of this song that you might probably know is Adio Querida. You know it? Adio Querida. This song is a sad song. It was written here in Thessaloniki, and it speaks about the separation of a couple. Adio Querida, it means goodbye, my beloved. Adio, adieu to God. Goodbye, my beloved, querida. And this is the young man that he sang to his ex-girlfriend, that you were very mean to me, and your mother was very cruel. This is why we separated, and you made my life bitter. Me amargates, amargo is bitter. Me amargates mi vida. And it's related with the poor Jewish people of Thessaloniki, that they left their city, adio querida, goodbye my beloved city, and didn't come back. Okay, adio querida. Tu madre cuánto te parió y te quitó al mundo, corazón ella no te dio para amar segundo, corazón ella no te dio para amar segundo. Adiós, adiós querida, no quiero la vida, me la mataste tú. Adiós, adiós querida, no quiero la vida, me la amargaste tú. Va, búscate otro amor, ajarba otras puertas, espera otro ardor, que para mí sos muerta. Espera otro ardor, que para mí sos muerta. Adiós. Adiós querida, no quiero la vida, me la amargaste tú. Adiós, adiós querida, no quiero la vida, me la amargaste tú.
Would you introduce us to this lady?
This beautiful lady, when she was 17 years, 16 years old, I saw her eyes and I said, this is from me. So this is my wife. We are married for 40 years and I know her since 41 years and I know her for 45 years.
Now, so now, would you explain about her father?
Her father, I'm proud that I'm a member of this family, of the family of my wife, of Heinz Cunho, because he's a prominent member of this community. You saw how he did. He gave the names to the community. This window that I show you in the community and all this, he's really someone special and he's 96 years old.
God bless you.
He's the last man survivor coming back from the camps in Thessaloniki. Women they are, but he's the last man.
So he grew up in Salonika?
Thessaloniki.
He was
Salonic?
born in
1927.
1927 in Czechoslovakia, in Karlovy Vary, because his mother was from there and she was afraid to give birth here in Thessaloniki because of the conditions. And he came back and he was 4 or 5 months and he came back here and he lived here all his life.
And he also was the individual, one of the most responsible person to find all the names when we were at the museum. Now, Ellie,
Exactly.
Ellie, what did you do? What did you do when you found out my last name? What did you do?
Here, what did I do? I told you because a lot of surprises were coming, and this is what I did. Just a minute.
No, I'm not doing right.
And I told you, and I will show you the phone book. I have it here, the copies. The original is my mother. I told you that I have a book, telephone book of 1936, where there are a lot of Jewish names inside. So I'm going to make a copy of the page of Boton to see.
So he came here in the morning?
In the morning, yes, running. I took. I
So,
gave
and
them,
then,
I gave them.
will you show us what you found in
I thought
the
they had it.
1936 telephone book?
This is one.
Could you, there's a copy of it, and it's in Greek, so could you explain to us what it says?
It says, first of all, Boton, de, and then the letter X, that is Chaim or what? What is the name of?
Chaim.
Chaim can be or Chaim, yes?
Izaniko.
Izaniko. House, Vasilissis Olgas, 183. We will pass with the minivan
Okay.
this
Vasilissis
address.
Olga Street used to be called Avenue de la Campagne in the past. And then it took the name Vasilissis Olgas. It's in the east part of the city where prominent families used to live on this street. Only prominent families. It was a very expensive area.
Still,
So-
some
so-
houses still survive.
Yeah, of course.
So, no. So now we're going to go to the next thing. We came up here because I wanted to meet your wife to say her father must know a Boton or a de Boton that still lives in Salonika. And you go, you know what, let's come up and meet with her. Then I said, we'd like to visit the addresses.
The address.
And then what did your wife say?
That the address is Vasileos Konstantinou, which is now Venizelou, number 8. And, this
And where
is-
are we right now?
We are right now here in this building of Venizelou, number
All right.
8.
So hold on, guys. Hold on. So
not a
to
coincidence.
summarize this, we are in the building that one of our relatives or
One option is that. The other option is that it's the building in the corner. Because it says that this address, the second one, is Mitropoleos and Vasileos Konstantinou, number 8. So maybe the numbers have changed because this is 12, but maybe it was the building in the corner which still exists exactly the same as it used to be before.
Yes, but this building, Helen, to remind you, this is our private previous office. They don't have the number in this street, they have the number in the other
yes.
street. So it's
Mitropolos
Mitropolos 12, it's not Venizelou 10.
So in
It's not
other
10.
words, unless
This
they
is-
changed
this is for sure,
everything.
This is for sure.
So my question is, this is crazy. Was this one of the five? What were you telling? What did you tell him?
That says Mitropolos 8 maybe.
Yes,
This is not Mitropolos 8. This
yes,
is
okay, but this is
Venizelos
Vasileus
8.
Constantino and Mitropolos 8.
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
By the way, she handled it. She very classy. She's nicely saying, maybe,
We are
not.
here,
But it's
right
a nice
here,
story.
but we're not giving you our office.
That's right. So,
he doesn't need nothing. Don't worry.
And we can smell it.
So-
Anyway,
so was this part of the fire? This is Liberty Square,
Yes.
which was had a great history,
Yeah.
but also had a horrible history. A horrible history. This is where, was it called the Black Sabbath?
That's right.
Where during the Holocaust, all the men from 18 to 45 were told to come out to do exercise, and then unbeknownst to them, they were beaten, and there was the preview of going to the Holocaust as they rounded 9,000 Jewish men here. Was this part of the fire?
Well, this area, the fire played games here. So some buildings were totally destroyed, some not.
Okay.
So some buildings still exist since before the fire, like the building here in the corner. Look at the beautiful dome that is on the top. This building, it used to be a department store, and the fire did not touch it since 1906. It was built by my great-grandfather. He was an
This
engineer.
building here?
This building, the building just across the street. Was built by my great-grandfather, who was an engineer from Prague, from Karlovy Vary, from Czechoslovakia. And he was active here. So it's one of the first buildings in concrete, because then they didn't build in concrete. So the fire did not destroy this building. Some other buildings were destroyed. This one must have been destroyed, where we are now.
Because it's a new
So
building.
You see.
played games. The fire played games.
And so, it is. So here is where the port is,
Yeah.
and the residential area of the port.
There
It's
is
really small,
there
but
is
it goes very much to the
residential
left.
Area here.
Right, it
It's
goes all left,
Goes
yeah.
to the left,
Which
to
is
the
right
east
on
part
the
of
other
city.
side of this.
But here it's a mixed area where we are now. Most of the buildings are offices, but the most we go in the center, in the central street, we see combined uses.
The reason why I ask is the story we've been told is
Yes.
that my great-grandfather and my great-grandmother were here right after the fire. She lost her wedding band. It was in the water. And the reflection of the fire shined the diamond.
Really?
And that's how they find it. And she looked at her husband and said, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to be under here anymore. I guess she knew the fire was going to be very
Change the
difficult,
whole city.
change the city. And maybe what Ellie said is maybe also the Ottomans not being here and making it as safe for
There
the
are
Jewish.
several reasons. The fire was something that affected the life of the Jews here very, very much, because most of the Jews had properties, at least houses and shops here in the center. So from the 70,000 homeless people, only from the 70,000, 50,000 were Jewish homeless. So most of the people lost everything. So this is why
They didn't have insurance back then.
Many of them had. Jewish people mainly had. The wealthiest had. Yes, they had. But many didn't have. There are many reparations from the insurance companies. They got the reparations, and this is how they started again, most of them.
I see. And then well, you said there were several things. So number one was
So
the
number
fire.
one, but ever since after 1912, when the Turks, the Ottomans abandoned the city and the city became Greek, Jews were afraid that things would change. But this was only a sense.
It was an
Because
intuition.
The intuition, because the real thing is that the official government did not do anything against the Jews. They were the majority of the population.
I know.
So the Jews had reasons to think of leaving, and many did, mainly to France, and some of them to America. But the big fire was a big push. And then in 1923, when it was the end of the very cruel war between Greeks and Turks, there was a big number of Greek Orthodox people who came here to Thessaloniki. And this also brought instability because they were told they would come to a Greek city and they came to a Jewish city, and this provoked jealousy, what later in the 30s became anti-Semitism. So there are several things from 1912 to 40 that made Jews decide to go away.
How many Jews are in Salonika now?
1,000.
1,000? How many were there at its top?
70,000 in 1900.
1900s?
In a
70?
total population of 150.
So we were 50%, almost 50%.
We're 50%, and the rest were kind of everything.
So we were really a majority, it wasn't?
Majority. It was a big concrete part of the population was the Jewish part. The city was closed in Shabbat. It was the port was closed in Shabbat.
So didn't you say, I was told 46 synagogues?
More
than 40?
Officially, there were 43 officially, but there were around 70 if we count also the family synagogues and prayers houses. So totally are 72 synagogues and praying houses.
How many are here now?
One existing since before the war, and one newer in the 80s, and one in the old people's house. But the two operating are these two in the center. And only that. From before the war, only one.
Talk to me about reparations. We were teasing, but tell me about reparations.
Reparations, it's a big question. First of all, we started receiving reparations. First of all, in 1946, Greece was one of the very few countries which voted a law that all the Jewish properties should go back to survivors or families of the survivors or the community in the case there was no member of the family, which was the most common. So it was officially, we shouldn't ask for any reparations because the law protected us. However, it was very difficult to claim because there were no papers, no documents, there were no proof that you had a property. Courts took place, there were a lot of fake papers presented, and most of the property never came back. So, but there was no reason to claim them from Greece, for example, or from other people because you couldn't prove. So it was very, very difficult. In most cases, in the cases where properties were just taken without papers, it was easier. In cases there were already papers and transactions were already done, it was very difficult to prove.
What happened, and this is my last question, besides, I'd love you to mention to my last name your father, see if he remembers anything.
My father
I
is
understand.
not well. He's not well. He doesn't remember nothing.
Oh, he's lucky to have you to take his
Yeah, but
memories.
it's not the same. It's not the same. We are second generation. It's
I
not
know,
the same.
I
We
know.
were not there.
Well said.
And third generation, I don't know if they will ever take care of that.
Thank you.
This is the style, it's like our community. You see the menorah is faulty, tilted. The dome is tilted. The Star of David tilted. Like our community, that
Oh, that's why they did that, because lest we forget.
Ella, all yours.
So, when I was a child, not only a child, when I was until let's say 30, 40 years ago, I remember the last name Boton in the city. So that means there were still people with this last name here. I remember them as in the generation of our parents, so they must have been today something like 90 years old or something like that. So I think there are no more Botons here in the city. This is the sad thing, that
Many of them got,
families are gone now.
they're gone.
Yeah, although I know that you are many, but we are spread all over the world. This name from Thessaloniki does not exist anymore.
But you know, it's very nice that you gave me the list,
Yeah,
and
you have
we'll
now
check
the
out
list,
the
and you
list.
have work to do with
Yeah,
the
a
list.
lot of work with the list.
Yeah.
The second thing that we mentioned was that I had heard from Victor, our friend and historian, that maybe we were not so from Portugal, that maybe we
you are from
were
Spain.
from Spain, but it wasn't confirmed. And you had maybe some history,
Yeah.
because I saw on the map that the Portuguese went north and the Spaniards went south through the Mediterranean.
Exactly. It can be that you are from Spain, from Portugal. You cannot say no, you are not, definitely. However, from what we know from history, the first wave of immigration, which happened in 1492, it came all from Spain. So first, the Spaniard Jews were persecuted and sent to exile. And this first wave of immigration went mainly to the Mediterranean Sea, where the Ottoman Empire of the time used to be, and also Italy. And so, from here, from these areas, some of them went also to Krakow and to Northern Europe, but not the majority came to the Mediterranean Sea, and a big number here to Thessaloniki. So from Portugal migrated about 5 years later, second wave of immigration. So this is when the Portuguese Jews were persecuted, and these Jews mainly went to Northern Europe, France, United Kingdom, Holland, and Belgium, and some also went directly to the United States because it was already discovered by Columbus. So the majority of the Jews who lived in Thessaloniki, they didn't come from Spain, however, from Portugal. However, if you see the list of the synagogues what we have in the smaller synagogue, there is a list of synagogues to be remembered. There is a synagogue called Evora, and the synagogue called Estrug, and the synagogue called Portugal.
Portugal.
Yeah, so there are 3 synagogues from Portuguese places. So this makes us think, yes, it could be.
It could have been.
It could have been. However, the big odds are that they came from Spain.
Thank you, Ella.
You're welcome.
Thank you.